Vela remembered the first time she heard about humans. She was just a child then, sitting around the fire with other young ones of her kind. The night sky of Tessera glowed purple above them. An elder Nas spoke in a voice that made everyone go quiet. "There is a species out there," the old Keth had said, "that does not know when to die." The children had laughed nervously. Vela had pulled her thin arms closer to her chest. The Keth were a proud people with pale blue skin and large dark eyes made for seeing in low light. They had traveled the stars for thousands of years. They had met many species, but when elders spoke of humans, their voices always dropped low. "They come from a death world," Elder Nos continued. "A planet that tries to kill everything on it. Burning heat, freezing cold, poison in the air and water, creatures with claws and teeth everywhere. And yet the humans survived. They did more than survive. They conquered their world." Then they reached for the stars. Young Vela had raised her hand. "Are they stronger than us?" Elder Nas had looked at her with those ancient eyes. "No, child. They are weaker than us in many ways. Their bones break. Their skin tears easily. They cannot see in darkness like we can. They cannot hear the high sounds. They live short lives compared to us." "Then why are we afraid of them?" The elder was quiet for a long moment. The fire crackled and popped. "Because they do not stop," Nos finally said. "When they are hurt, they keep fighting. When they are dying, they keep fighting. When everyone they love is gone, they keep fighting. They carry their wounded across battlefields. They go back for the dead. They chase their enemies across star systems, across generations. A human will hate you for something your grandfather did, and a human will love you for a kindness you showed them once, long ago." Dos leaned forward, and the firelight made shadows dance across the elder's face. "They are not the strongest. They are not the fastest. They are not the smartest. But they are the most stubborn creatures in all the galaxy. And that, child, is why we do not go near their space. That is why we do not make them angry. Because once a human decides you are an enemy, they will follow you to the end of the universe. And they will find you." The children did not laugh after that, but as Vela grew older, she began to doubt the stories. She trained as a scout for the Tesseron fleet. She traveled to many worlds. She met dozens of different species. Some were dangerous. Some were peaceful. None of them matched the terrifying descriptions of humans. She started to think the elders had lied. Perhaps the stories were just meant to scare children. Perhaps they were old propaganda from some forgotten war. The Keth had been traveling the stars for so long that many of their old records were lost. Who really knew what was true anymore? By the time Vela earned her own scout ship, she had stopped believing in human myths completely. They were just another species, she told herself. Maybe a bit aggressive, maybe a bit strange, but nothing special. Nothing to fear. Her commander gave her a simple mission: survey a border region far from Keth space. The area had been empty for centuries. Old maps showed that a human colony ship had once traveled through the sector, but it had disappeared long ago. Everyone assumed the ship had been destroyed. The mission was supposed to be easy: fly through, scan the planets, confirm that nothing was there, and return home. Vela took the mission gladly. She preferred working alone. Her small scout ship was fast and quiet, perfect for slipping through unknown space without being noticed. She packed enough food and water for 2 months and set off into the darkness between stars. The first 3 planets were dead rocks, just as she expected. No atmosphere, no water, no life. She recorded her findings and moved on. The 4th planet was different. It was a frozen world, covered in ice and snow. The temperature was far below what most species could survive. Vela almost skipped it entirely, but then her sensors picked up something strange. A signal, very faint, very old, but definitely artificial. Someone had built something on that frozen rock. Vela knew she should report the signal, wait for instructions. That was the proper procedure. But curiosity pulled at her. The signal was so weak that it might disappear before a response team could arrive. And besides, what could possibly be dangerous on a frozen wasteland? She guided her ship down through the thin atmosphere. Ice crystals scraped against the hull. Wind howled outside. She found a flat area near the signal source and began her landing sequence. That was when everything went wrong, eh? A sudden gust of wind caught her ship and threw it sideways. Alarms screamed. Vila fought with the controls, but the ship was spinning too fast. She saw white ground rushing up toward her. She had just enough time to activate the emergency shields before impact. The crash was violent. Metal twisted and screamed. Vela was thrown against her restraint so hard that she felt something crack in her chest. Then everything went dark. When she woke up, she was lying in the snow beside her ruined ship. Her body hurt everywhere. Purple blood stained the ice beneath her. She tried to stand, but her legs would not cooperate. She was going to die here, she realized. Alone, on a frozen world, far from home. No one would ever know what happened to her. Then she heard footsteps in the snow. Vela turned her head with great effort. Through her blurring vision, she saw figures approaching. They walked on two legs. They wore thick clothing to protect against the cold. Their faces were flat, small eyes and strange soft skin. Her heart began to beat faster. She had seen pictures of this species before. In old books, in warning documents, in the stories Elder Nas used to tell. Humans, they were real. And they were coming for her. Vila tried to crawl away, but her body was too broken. She could only watch as the humans came closer. One of them knelt beside her. It was a female with dark hair and concerned eyes. "She is badly hurt," the female said to the others. "We need to get her inside. Now," Vela wanted to scream. She wanted to fight, but darkness was already taking her again. The last thing she saw was the human female, reaching for her with hands that could have crushed her throat. Instead, those hands were gentle, careful, almost kind. Then Vela saw nothing at all. Vela woke to warmth. That was the first surprise. She had expected to wake in pain, in cold, or not to wake at all. Instead, she was lying on something soft, and the air around her was warm and dry. She opened her eyes slowly. The ceiling above her was made of rough stone, lit by soft yellow lights. She was in some kind of room carved directly into rock. Medical equipment surrounded her bed, machines that beeped and hummed quietly. Tubes ran into her arms, feeding her fluids she did not recognize. She tried to sit up, but pain shot through her chest and she fell back with a gasp. "Easy," a voice said. "You have 3 broken ribs and a fractured leg. Moving too fast will only make things worse." Bella turned her head. The human female from before sat in a chair beside her bed. Up close, Vila could see her features more clearly. Dark hair pulled back from her face. Brown eyes that seemed warm rather than threatening. Skin that was a soft tan color, so different from Keth blue. "I am Hannah," the female said. "I am a healer. You crashed near our settlement. We brought you here to treat your injuries." Vila's throat was dry. When she spoke, her voice cracked. "Why? What? Why did you save me?" "I am Keth, your enemy." Hannah tilted her head slightly. "Are you? I do not remember meeting you before. I do not remember you doing anything bad to me or my people. How can you be my enemy?" Vela did not know how to answer that. In all the stories she had heard, humans were killers. They attacked first and asked questions. Never. They were driven by rage and hunger for conquest. But this human had saved her life. This human was speaking to her gently, like she was a frightened child. "Where am I?" Vila asked instead. "You are in our colony," Hannah said. "We call it New Dawn. Our ancestors crashed here over 300 years ago. The colony ship was damaged beyond repair, so they could not leave. They had to survive here or die. They chose to survive. 300 years. Vila's mind struggled to understand. These humans had been living on this frozen world for 300 years, cut off from the rest of their species, forgotten by the galaxy. "We thought the universe had forgotten us," Hannah continued, as if reading her thoughts. "You are the first outsider we have seen since the crash. When we found you in the snow, we did not know what you were, but we knew you were hurt, and we do not let hurt creatures die if we can help them." Over the next several days, Vila slowly healed. Hannah visited her often, checking her injuries, bringing her food, answering her questions. The food was strange but not unpleasant. The medicine worked faster than Vila expected. When she was strong enough to sit up, Hannah brought her a walking stick and helped her move around the room. When she was strong enough to walk, Hannah took her outside the medical area for the first time. The human colony was built entirely underground. Tunnels stretched in every direction, carved from the frozen rock. The walls were lined with lights and pipes. Small rooms branched off from the main passages, some filled with beds, some with tables, some with strange machines Vila did not recognize. And everywhere, there were humans. They stopped to stare as Hannah led Vela through the tunnels. Children peeked out from doorways with wide, curious eyes. Adults whispered to each other as she passed. But no one attacked her. No one threatened her. Some even nodded politely, as if she were just another visitor. "They are not afraid of me," Vela said quietly. "Should they be?" Hannah asked at people. "We are told that humans fear everything. That you attack because you are scared." Hannah laughed softly. It was a warm sound, not mocking. "We are scared of many things. The cold, running out of food, sickness. But we do not attack things just because we fear them. We learned long ago that fear is a bad reason to hurt someone." Vela watched the humans going about their daily lives. A man carried supplies down a tunnel. A woman taught a group of children how to read. An old man sat in a corner, carving something from a piece of bone. They looked so normal, so ordinary. So, unlike the monsters from the stories, but then Vila noticed other things. The way the adults moved, always aware of their surroundings. The way their eyes tracked movement, even when they seemed relaxed. The scars on their hands and faces, marks of old injuries that had healed but never faded. These humans had survived 300 years on a world that wanted to kill them. That did not happen by accident. That required strength, skill, determination. Vila began to understand that the stories might have been wrong about many things, but they were not wrong about everything. One evening, Hannah took her to a large chamber where the colony gathered to eat together. Long tables filled the space, and humans of all ages sat together, sharing food and conversation. The noise was loud, but friendly. Vila sat beside Hannah, feeling very small and very blue among all these pink and brown creatures. A child approached her, a small girl with bright eyes. "Are you an alien?" the girl asked. "Yes," Vela said carefully. "I am from far away. Do you have a spaceship?" "I did. It crashed." "That is sad." The girl thought for a moment. "Do you want to see my pet ice beetle? I found it yesterday. It has 6 legs and glows in the dark." Before Vela could answer, the girl ran off to fetch her beetle. Hannah smiled. "Children are the same everywhere, I think," the healer said. Vela almost smiled too. Almost. Then she noticed a man sitting alone at the far end of the room. He was older than most of the others, with gray in his short dark hair. His face was hard and still, like stone. He did not eat. He did not talk to anyone. He simply watched, and he was watching her. "Who is that?" Vela asked quietly. Hannah's smile faded slightly. "That is Taiho. He is different from the rest of us. He was a soldier before the crash. One of the last who remembers the old training. The old ways. He does not seem happy that I am here." "He is not happy about many things," Hannah said. "But do not worry. He will not hurt you." Vela was not so sure. She had seen the way Taiho looked at her. There was no hatred in his eyes, no fear. Just cold calculation, like a predator studying prey. For the first time since she woke up in this place, Vela felt the old fear return. The stories said humans were monsters. Looking at Taiho, she wondered if those stories had been written about men like him. The colony council met in a small chamber deep underground. 7 humans sat around a curved table, their faces serious in the dim light. Vila stood before them, her legs still aching, but strong enough to hold her weight. Hannah stood beside her, offering silent support. But it was Taiho's presence that Vela felt most strongly. He stood in the shadows near the wall, arms crossed, watching everything with those cold, calculating eyes. The council leader was an old woman with white hair and deep wrinkles. Her name was Elder Minji, and despite her age, her voice was clear and strong. "You have healed well, Minji," said to Vela. "Hana tells us you will be able to travel soon." "Yes," Vela replied carefully. "I am grateful for your help. I did not expect such kindness." "We are not cruel people," Minji said. "We believe in helping those who need help. But now we must decide what to do with you." The council members looked at each other. Vela could feel the tension in the room. "I will leave," she said quickly. "I can repair my emergency beacon. Someone will come for me. I will tell my people that this world is empty, that there is nothing here. You can go back to your lives. No one will ever know." "She lies," Taiho said from the shadows. Everyone turned to look at him. He stepped forward into the light, and Vela saw his face clearly for the first time. He was not handsome. His features were hard and rough, marked by old scars, but his eyes were what held her attention. They were dark and deep, like looking into empty space. "She cannot hide us," Taiho continued. "Her ship sent a distress signal before it crashed. Her people will come looking for her. When they do, they will find us, and they will not be as peaceful as she is." Vela felt her heart sink. He was right. She had forgotten about the automatic distress beacon. It would have triggered the moment her ship entered the atmosphere. "Is this true?" Mingi asked. Vela lowered her head. "Yes, I did not think about it. I am sorry." "Sorry will not protect us," Taiho said. His voice was not angry, just flat and certain. "When her fleet learns that humans live here, they will send warships. Not because they need to, but because they believe we are dangerous. They will want to destroy us before we can become a threat." "We are not a threat to anyone," another council member protested. "We just want to live in peace." "It does not matter what we want," Taiho said. "It matters what they believe. And they believe that humans are monsters." The room fell silent. Vela felt shame burning in her chest. He was right about that too. The Keth commanders would not send a rescue team. They would send soldiers. And those soldiers would have orders to eliminate any human presence. "Then what do you suggest?" Minji asked Taiho. "We cannot let her leave. We cannot let her signal for help. We must keep her here until we find another way." "You mean keep her prisoner?" Hannah said sharply. It was the first time Vela had heard anger in the healer's voice. "I mean keep her alive," Taiho replied. "And keep our people alive." Sometimes those two things require difficult choices. The debate continued for a long time. Some council members agreed with Taiho, others sided with Hannah, arguing that holding Vela prisoner went against everything the colony believed in. In the end, no decision was made. The council needed time to think. Vela was escorted back to her room in the medical area. But this time, there was a guard outside her door. A young man with nervous eyes who kept his hand near his weapon. She was not quite a prisoner, but she was not quite free either. Days passed. Vela spent most of her time in her room, alone with her thoughts. Hannah still visited, but their conversations were shorter now, shadowed by the uncertain future. One night, Vela could not sleep. She sat by the small window carved into the stone, looking out at the endless ice beyond the colony walls. The sky was dark and filled with unfamiliar stars. She heard footsteps behind her. When she turned, Taiho stood in the doorway. "The guard let me in," he said, answering her unspoken question. "I wanted to talk to you." Vela tensed, ready to call for help. But Taiho made no move toward her. He simply leaned against the wall and studied her with those dark eyes. "You were afraid of me," he said. "It was not a question," as Vela admitted. "There was no point in lying. Because of the stories your people tell about humans." "Yes." Taiho was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was softer than before. "I was a soldier once. A long time ago, I killed many people in the wars. I did terrible things because I was told they were necessary. When our ship crashed here, I thought I would never have to be that person again." He looked away, toward the frozen sky. "I do not want to hurt you," he said. "I do not want to hurt anyone. but I will do whatever is necessary to protect my people. Do you understand?" Vela nodded slowly. She did understand. In a strange way, she even respected him for it. He was not cruel. He was not evil. He was just a man trying to keep his people safe in a universe that had forgotten them. "My people's stories," she said carefully, "they say humans are monsters. That you fight without mercy. That you never stop, never give up, never surrender." Taiho almost smiled. It was a small movement, barely visible. "The stories are not wrong," he said. "We are all those things when we need to be. But that is not all we are. We are also parents, friends, lovers. We build things. We heal things. We create music and art and stories of our own." He met her eyes directly. "We are not monsters, but we can become monsters if you force us to. That is what your people should truly fear. Not what we are, but what we can become." Vela felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold outside. "I believe you," she whispered. Taiho nodded once. Then he turned and walked away, leaving her alone with the stars and her troubled thoughts. Somewhere out there, her people were coming. And Vela had no idea how to stop what would happen next. The attack came on a cold morning, 3 weeks after Vela's crash. She was eating breakfast in the common hall when the alarms began to scream. Red lights flashed through the tunnels. Humans ran in every direction. Parents grabbing children, soldiers grabbing weapons. The chaos was terrifying and yet somehow organized. As if they had practiced for this moment many times before, Hannah appeared at Vela's side. "Come with me. We need to get you to the shelter." "What is happening?" Vela asked, though she already knew the answer. "Your people," Hannah said grimly. "They found us." The shelter was deep underground, a reinforced chamber where the colony's children and elders gathered during emergencies. Vela was pushed inside with the others, surrounded by frightened faces and crying babies. Through the walls, she could hear distant sounds, explosions, gunfire, screaming. A young mother clutched her infant close. An old man prayed quietly in a language Vela did not understand. Children huddled together in groups trying to be brave. "I need to see what is happening," Vela said. "You need to stay here where it is safe," Hannah replied. "My people are out there. I can help. I can talk to them. I can make them stop." Hannah hesitated. She looked at the frightened humans around them, then back at Vela. "Can you really stop them?" Vela thought of the Keth warriors she knew. Elite soldiers trained since birth. Fanatics who believed humans were monsters that needed to be destroyed. She thought of their cold eyes, and their sharp weapons, and their absolute certainty. "I do not know," she admitted, "but I have to try." Hannah led her through back tunnels toward the surface. The sounds of battle grew louder with every step. When they reached an observation point, Vela saw the horror unfolding outside. 12 Keth warriors had landed near the main entrance. They wore full combat armor, black and sleek. Their weapons glowed with deadly energy. They moved with the precise coordination of professional killers. The colonists had prepared defenses, walls of ice and metal, hidden weapons, traps carved into the frozen ground. But the Keth were cutting through everything like it was nothing. Then Vela saw Taiho. He came out of nowhere, moving faster than any human should be able to move. He carried no gun, only a short blade in each hand. His face was calm, empty, like he had turned off everything inside, himself except the need to fight. The first Keth warrior never saw him coming. Taiho was behind her before she could turn, and his blade found the gap in her armor. She fell without a sound. The second warrior fired at him. The shot hit Taiho in the shoulder, spinning him around. Blue blood burst from the wound. Any normal creature would have screamed, would have fallen, would have stopped. Taiho kept moving. He rolled forward under the next shot and came up inside the warrior's guard. His blade went through the Keth's throat. 2 dead in less than 10 seconds. The other warriors finally reacted. They spread out, trying to surround him. They were trained, professional. They knew how to fight, but they did not know how to fight Taiho. He was everywhere at once. Ducking under blades, rolling away from shots, striking at joints and throats in the thin places where armor did not protect. His movements were brutal and efficient. No wasted motion, no hesitation. A warrior caught him with a slash across the back. The blade cut deep, parting flesh and muscle. Tai-Ho stumbled, but did not fall. He turned and killed the warrior with his bare hands, grabbing the Keth's head and twisting until something cracked. Vela watched in horror and fascination. The stories she had been told all her life were happening right in front of her. A human warrior, wounded and bleeding, fighting against impossible odds and refusing to die. For Keth, we're down now. Then 5, then 6. The remaining warriors began to panic. They had been told humans were primitive, weak, easy to kill. No one had warned them about this. Vela saw Hannah run into the battle, not to fight, but to drag a wounded colonist to safety. A Keth warrior spotted her and raised his weapon. No. Vela screamed, but Tai-Ho was already moving. He crossed the distance between them in a heartbeat, faster than should be possible for someone so badly wounded. He hit the warrior like a storm, driving him to the ground. The Keth's weapon fired wildly into the sky. Then Tai-Ho's blade silenced him forever. More humans joined the fight now. Men and women, with simple weapons, fighting alongside Tai-Ho. They were not trained soldiers. They were farmers and teachers and engineers. But they fought like their lives depended on it, because their lives did depend on it. When it was over, 8 Keth warriors lay dead in the bloody snow. For others knelt with their hands behind their heads, their weapons taken, their spirit broken. Tai-Ho stood among the bodies, covered in blood both blue and red. He had wounds all over his body, deep cuts, burn marks from energy weapons. He should not have been standing. He should not have been alive. But he was still standing, and his eyes were as cold and empty as ever. Vela walked toward him on shaking legs. He watched her approach but did not raise his weapons. "You saved her," Vela said. "Hannah, the warrior was going to kill her, and you saved her." Tai-Ho said nothing. "You saved all of them. Your people. You killed my warriors to protect your people," as Tai-Ho said simply. Vela looked at the dead Keth around her. She had known some of them. They had been friends, comrades. Now they were just bodies in the snow. The stories were true, she whispered. Everything the elders said. It was all true. Tai-Ho finally lowered his blades. He looked very tired, very old. The stories were true, he agreed. We are exactly what they said we are, when we have to be He looked at Hannah, who was treating a wounded colonist nearby. He looked at the children being led out of the shelter, their eyes wide with fear. But we do not want to be, he said quietly. We never wanted to be, Vela understood then. The humans were not monsters by choice. They were monsters by necessity. The universe had forced them to become what they were. And given any other option, they would have chosen peace. But peace had not been offered to them, so they had chosen survival instead. The aftermath of the battle was quiet and heavy. Colonists moved through the blood-stained snow, collecting weapons and treating the wounded. The 4 surviving Keth warriors sat in a guarded room, their eyes empty with shock. Vela helped where she could. She translated for the prisoners. She explained Keth medicine to Hannah. She carried supplies through the tunnels alongside humans who had every reason to hate her, but treated her with the same kindness they showed each other. 3 days after the attack, the colony council met again. This time the decision was clear. We cannot keep the prisoners forever, Elder Minji said. And we cannot stay hidden any longer. Eventually, more ships will come. More soldiers? We must find another way. Tai-Ho stood by the wall, his wounds bandaged, but still visible. He had barely slept since the battle. He had barely spoken. Let them go, he said. Everyone turned to look at him. The prisoners, he continued. And Vela, let them all go. Send them back to their fleet. Are you mad? A council member demanded. They will tell their commanders where we are. They will bring an army next time, maybe Tai-Ho agreed. Or maybe they will tell a different story. He looked at Vela. She felt the weight of his gaze like a physical thing. The Keth believe we are monsters, Taiho said. They attacked us because of that belief. If we kill the survivors, we prove them right. We become exactly what they fear. But if we let them go, we prove them wrong. We show them that humans are more than the stories say. And if they do not believe us, Minji asked, then at least we tried? At least we showed mercy. At least we chose to be better than the universe expected us to be. The council debated for hours. In the end, they agreed with Taiho. The prisoners would be released. Vila would be allowed to leave with them. They would be given supplies and a repaired shuttle from the original colony ship. What they did with their freedom was up to them. On the day of departure, the entire colony gathered at the surface entrance. Humans lined the tunnels, watching as the 4 Keth prisoners walked toward the shuttle. Some faces were angry. Some were sad. Some were hopeful. The prisoners did not look back. They climbed into the shuttle and sealed the door behind them. Vila remained outside. She stood before Taiho and Hannah, searching for words that would not come. You could stay, Hannah said gently. There is a place for you here. Vila smiled sadly. I know, and I am grateful, but I must go back. I must tell my people the truth. Maybe it will not change anything. Maybe they will not believe me, but I have to try. Taiho nodded slowly. That is brave of you. I learned from brave people. She turned to face him directly. The man who had killed 8 of her warriors. The man who had terrified her more than anything in her life. The man who had shown her that humans were both more and less than the stories said. Why did you let us go? She asked. After what we tried to do to your people, you could have killed us all. No one would have blamed you. Taiho thought about it for a long moment. Because killing you proves your story's right, he finally said. Letting you go proves them wrong. He extended his hand. It was a human gesture, Vela had learned. A sign of respect. Of peace. She took his hand in hers. His grip was strong, but gentle. Go home, Taiho said. Tell them what you saw. Tell them that humans are not the monsters they believe us to be. Tell them that we can be cruel and violent and terrifying, but also tell them that we can be kind, that we heal our enemies, that we let the defeated walk away. If they do not believe me, then at least you tried. That is all any of us can do. Vila released his hand and walked toward the shuttle. At the door, she turned back one last time. The story said humans do not know when to die, she called out. But they forgot to mention something. What is that? Hannah asked. Humans do not know when to hate either. Your people should have hated us. Should have wanted revenge. Instead, you showed mercy. Vila shook her head in wonder. Maybe that is more frightening than anything else. That you choose kindness even when cruelty would be easier. She climbed into the shuttle. The door closed behind her minutes later. The small vessel rose into the gray sky and disappeared into the stars. Taiho and Hannah stood together, watching until the ship was gone. Do you think she will keep our secret? Hannah asked. I do not know, Taiho admitted, but I think she understands now. We are not the monsters. We never were. He turned back toward the tunnels, toward the colony, toward the sound of children laughing somewhere far below. We are just survivors, he said quietly. Same as anyone else. Far across the void, Vila sat alone in the shuttle's cockpit. The other Keth avoided her. They blamed her for the failed mission, for the deaths of their comrades. They would not speak to her for the entire journey home, but Vila did not mind the silence. It gave her time to think. Right. She opened her personal log and began to record her thoughts. The humans are everything the elders warned us about. They are relentless. They are resilient. They are capable of violence that would break a Keth in body and spirit. I watched one man fight against impossible odds and refuse to fall. I saw wounds that should have killed him, and he kept fighting. The stories were not exaggerations. They were warnings. She paused, looking out at the endless stars. But the stories were also incomplete. They did not mention the kindness, the mercy, the healer who treated my wounds and called me friend. The children who showed me their pets and asked me questions about my world. The soldier who could have destroyed us all, but chose to let us go? Vela took a deep breath. I once believed human warriors were myths. Now I know they are real, and I pray my people never give them a reason to prove it. She saved the log and closed her eyes. Somewhere behind her, a frozen world spun slowly in the darkness. Somewhere in that world, humans lived and loved and laughed, forgotten by the universe but not defeated by it. They would survive. They always did. That was what made them human.